India's coral reefs are indeed fascinating and diverse ecosystems. They not only support a rich variety of marine life, but also serve as a crucial buffer against coastal erosion. The distribution of coral reefs across India, from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands to the Lakshadweep Islands, showcases the country's ecological wealth. The Lakshadweep Islands are located off the southwestern coast of India in the Arabian Sea. The islands are categorized into three groups. The Amandivi Islands, consisting of Amini, Kadmath, Kiltan, Shetland and Bitra. The Lakshadweep Islands, comprising Androt, Kalpeni, Kavaratti, Pitti and Agatti. And the island of Minicoy.
Lakshadweep also shows us different stages of how these coral reef islands are formed. So in a single place, it is very difficult to see different stages of coral islands in a single place. For example, first there will be only a lagoon formed, then there will be islands will start slowly growing. For example, the famous tourist location of Lakshadweep, that is Bangaram and Tinakara, shows a lagoon, very young lagoon. That's why you have very small islands. As the island grows, the landmass will improve. And if you are going to see the orientation of how the land is formed, it will be in the north-south direction. The island will be bulged in the northern side and the island will be formed on the eastern side of the reef. This is because of the southwest monsoon. Slowly the island will start growing from the eastern side towards the western side, and one of the medium matured island is Kavaratti, Agatti, where you could see a sizable landmass covering half the size of the reef and remaining lagoon. And at the same time, we can see a fully matured island as well as in Amini and Androt. So these kind of biological diversity, geographical diversity as well as cultural diversity is offered only by Lakshadweep. And apart from that, in simple terms, the Lakshadweep waters are so clean, even if you are going to be doing the snorkeling on a water which depth is more than nearly 20 meters, you will be still able to see the bottom of the water. So that clean the waters are, and this can be experienced only in Lakshadweep in India, and I can assure that even in the rest of the world, this kind of diversity can be seen only in Lakshadweep.
The island's lagoons are rich in marine life, making them a popular destination for snorkeling and diving. The islands are also known for their sandy beaches and tranquil environment, making them popular tourist destinations. Lakshadweep is known as a coral island because it was formed from coral reefs. The corals, through their growth and accumulation over time, have created islands and surrounding reefs adjacent to their beaches. The different types of reefs, including fringing reefs, atolls and patchy corals along intertidal areas, contribute to the overall biodiversity and ecological balance of India's coastal regions. Efforts to protect and preserve these coral reefs, including sustainable tourism practices and marine conservation initiatives, are essential for safeguarding India's marine heritage for future generations. The Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 in India indeed strictly prohibits the trade and possession of hard corals, specifically those belonging to the order Scleractinia, because these corals are crucial for the growth and sustenance of coral reefs.
Basically, we have to understand what is corals and what is coral reefs. So corals are basically animals, and it is been covered by an exoskeleton, that is like calcium skeleton leg. For imagine a crab or a shell based animal. So it cannot move from its one place to another place, but it will be fixed to a substratum and the animal will be living. And corals are very tiny animals, so a coral will have a very small amount of exoskeleton around it. So these corals over the period of time, as it grows, continues after generation, as the animal dies, only the exoskeleton remains and it comes as a rock. You may be carrying a small piece of rock, but that would have been taken thousands and hundreds of years for that entire piece of rock to be formed. So imagine an entire reef that is surrounding this island is to form completely, it will be taking millions of years. So that's the significance of this island.
The islands are essentially the result of coral atolls, which are formed over thousands of years through the growth and accumulation of coral reefs. Corals, made from the skeletons of tiny marine organisms called polyps, build upon each other over time. When these polyps die, their hard skeletons remain and new polyps continue to grow on them. This cycle of growth and death creates a structure that eventually emerges above the water as an island. This process of coral reef formation is what gives Lakshadweep its distinctive status as a coral island. Coral reefs are complex underwater ecosystems dominated by reef-building corals.
These islands are once mountains, where these mountains, as it submerges, along the surrounding of the mountains, these corals start to deposit and they slowly grow. And most important thing is, corals are specific animals which will be seen to grow only in shallow waters, and it will require sunlight, and it will be requiring a clean water, because if there is going to be dust particle or smaller particles, the mouth of the coral will be closed by this particle and the corals will die. So the very presence of pristine corals shows the cleanliness of this water and how significant this environment is all about. And as the coral reefs are going, these coral reefs will then allow subsequent growth of phytoplanktons or the producers, the family called as producers, that is similar to the trees of the mainland in the forest. So as these reefs are growing, these microalgae and these kind of trees, they subsequently help in the food chain of the other organisms like fishes. So these corals are acting a role of a forest kind of a thing, an environment, a substratum. So once if a person is going to remove, for example, a 1 square feet size of a coral rock, he is just taking away a million years of history from here. So we cannot be allowing that. As a responsible citizens, we have to ensure that the environment is protected, because it took a million of years for this ecosystem to be developed. And still India is one of the few countries which is blessed to have such a pristine environment, still to have the pristinity within itself. So that's why in Lakshadweep we encourage a more responsible ecotourism, where we encourage people to enjoy the beauty of these corals, at the same time to educate them what is the significance of them. And as a part of education, we also tell them do not disturb it, and this applies as much as to the corals to all the forest and beautiful ecosystem that is throughout in the mainland. So it's not only about corals, anywhere else as we go to the forest, let us not disturb the wildlife, let us enjoy that, let us appreciate that.
These corals secrete calcium carbonate, which forms a hard skeleton that provides structure and support to the reef. Over time, as corals continue to grow and multiply, their skeletons accumulate, creating vast reef structures. When these reefs grow close to the water's surface, they can eventually emerge above the waterline and form islands, known as coral islands. In the case of Lakshadweep, the islands have been shaped by the gradual accumulation of coral sediments, along with other organic materials. These materials have built up over millennia, eventually rising above the surface due to geological processes. These reefs are home to a wide range of marine life, including colorful fish, corals, and other organisms. Overall, the coral reefs and coral islands of Lakshadweep are not only visually stunning, but also play a crucial role in supporting marine life and sustaining the local economy through tourism and fishing activities.
संसद टीवी के और भी प्रोग्राम्स देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें हमारा यूट्यूब चैनल और हाँ, इन्हें लाइक और शेयर करना ना भूलें।